formaldehyde. That was the original Heck reaction, published in 1968. Those works attracted a lot of Swedish young people who now become, or who are now retired, mostly, or else at the top of the Swedish Academy, which controls the Nobel Prize now. So that was in 1968.
In this context, I would ask you that.
My story is only halfway done. So let me just finish it. And then came Mizoroki. Mizoroki, young Japanese chemist, who published in 1971, 3 years after this lousy, useless original Heck reaction. Mizoroki reaction. No countermetal needed. Terminal alkyne. And then stoichiometric, catalytic in palladium. The current Heck reaction, so-called, that was in 1971. Unfortunately, two things happened. He passed away within few to several years, shortly after. So he did not have time to further develop this Mizoroki coupling with his name attached to it. So, but then in the meantime, in 1972, a year after Mizoroki, and 4 years after Heck published a series of what I would call a useless stoichiometric reaction, Heck published paper. We too were developing what's now called a Heck coupling Mizoroki reaction without the counter cation and the catalytic amount of palladium. That is Heck. Now, some people call this Heck Mizoroki reaction or Mizoroki Heck reaction in order of the appearance. And my friend, Beretskaya in Russia, she would insist that this should be called a Mizoroki, Mizoroki reaction, not Heck reaction. Heck has nothing to do with that.
That's why I think it is popularly acronymed with a joke. What the heck reaction?
I remember. I'm not sure I will use it. But that, I think, is Stockholm, Sweden connection. Yep.
But he retired and he was somewhere in Philippines fishing when he got the phone call from Stockholm.
Yeah, that's true, right? Not only that, we all are asked to write relatively short essay paper, review paper, after winning the Nobel Prize. There will be a series of events after 13 days in Sweden, So will we have any time at all to write some essay papers like that? And then I finally wrote and sent mine at the end of January. The Nobel Foundation contacted me. Will you kindly write the version that Professor Heck should write? Because we have had no response from him. We cannot reach him. He's always in Philippines. So I said, am I supposed to be writing a short summary of Heck's contribution? And I happen to have Professor Heck's last PhD student in my group, a Chinese person. So I asked him, are you willing to help me writing Hex, Nobel? That's the paper. So he agreed. And then I had a chance to see Hex, and Hex said, okay, he is okay. In other words, his postdoc, last postdoc, who was in my group, writing his biography, he said, it's okay. So based on this, I touched up, and then I sent it. They beat the deadline. So he's a lucky person.
Well, luck, always favors who wages the most. So that is a well-known thing. Einstein used to say, chance favors.
Well, on the 12th or 13th days in Sweden, that's the last day before our departure. We were all invited to Uppsala. And this is an annual tradition in Nobel activities. So I asked someone in Uppsala, why is this a tradition? We always are invited on the last day before departure to Uppsala. And I learned the Swedish academic structure. So the rector, top man, president of the Uppsala University is the only president in goodly portion of the Swedish territory. So, for instance, Stockholm University. You might think that Stockholm is a better university, stronger, more active. But president of the Stockholm University is only a vice president. And then actual, in a formal sense, president of the Stockholm University, rector of the Uppsala University. So he supersedes, he governs about close to 10 universities. That's why we get invited to Uppsala. Uppsala has a long history. What's it? Line? Yeah, Linie or Line. Anyway, then I met a whole bunch of vice rectors. This university, that university, they were invited. And then I also discovered most of them have been to University of Delaware to be a postdoc of Professor Richard Heck. So I can see, I can only guess, but their influences in the final round
So right now you have very small group, 6 or 7.
Yes. Yeah. And but all guns are actively working.
All are postdoc?
Yeah, all are postdocs. Well, there are two kinds. The postdocs, majority postdocs. But the second subgroup consists of
graduate students.
Master degree holder sent by my first company, Teiji, in Japan. They were so proud of me, and they saw some value in sending some of their top scientists to my group. Those typically they do not join companies with a PhD degree. They're not doctors, but majority of them engage in research, masters. So they want to send some of the top members in the masters workers to my group. And then there is in Japan there is still then write a thesis. PhD thesis and submit it. And if it's well enough and good enough, then they receive a thesis-based PhD, which I think is a very unique system, but I think it's a very good system. Well, many people, for some reason, variety of reasons. So for joining,
Well, they have to pay more.
good company, they would rather apply after getting a master's. Then, if they start, they start engaging in research, they realize that they need some additional training, and the company has recognized that, and they are so proud of me because I was a company member for 5 years. 5 years before joining Professor Brown for my postdoctoral training.
Okay, let's start with.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, but I think Professor Negishi has been inspired by Fukui, his frontier molecular orbital theory, and he is the first Nobel Prize winner from Japan. And he has actually utilized
in
that.
chemistry.
From
First
Japan.
Japanese
Chemistry.
Okawa was the first. Okawa was the first.
Yukawa.
Yeah.
That's
Then
in
Tomonaga.
Yukawa and Tomonaga. So Yukawa won in 1949.
Yes.
That is in nuclear
Yeah.
chemistry,
It's on.
physics.
And then several to 10 years later, Tomonaga followed. Yukawa and Tomonaga were sort of the same. But as he said, Fukui received this in
1981.
1981. Yeah, that's the first chemistry award given to Japanese. And that's pretty early.
And I may ask you another question.
Yeah.
This is regarding, there are two schools of thought in organic synthesis.
Mm-hmm.
One is propagated by E.J. Corey and similar practitioners of organic synthesis. The other group is led by Barry Sharpless. And one is propagating total synthesis for the sake of synthesis. The other one is developing methodology on the basis of reaction mechanisms to understand. Which one you think will be far-reaching in the years to come?
The latter. Obviously the latter. Actually, in America, it's now next to impossible to receive a government grant. NIH, NSF, and others. In the manner of Corey and others, Woodward and UC. Those days are over. I mean, still synthesis is important.
These will
But-
be always important.
Yeah, synthesis will always remain important, but just to pick a molecule, very complicated, and then go for the synthesis, regardless of the overall yield or efficiency or whatever.
Biological activity, whatever.
Those days are almost completely over, at least in America. And so they openly say that. And probably the last giant in that area was E.J. Corey. E.J. Corey himself recognizes this, but we have to give a lot of credit to Corey for and Woodward, his theoretical
Foundation.
yeah, foundation of organics. So without their many gargantuan synthetic efforts, they are still two of the best organic chemists that America has ever produced. So they are okay.
All right, maybe we
But-
can start now.
But one of the very tops who met the major difficulties in further developing their career Casey Nicola. Casey Nicola, he was a Woodward Corey disciple,
Right.
along those lines. And maybe many people say he was the last one
Exactly.
to be recognized for his synthetic powers. And I must say that's about right. So, and E.J. Corey himself said that.
Sure.
So he invited me to give a lecture not long ago, and he was very appreciative. This topic, I stayed away from this, but he was very appreciative of method of material.
So, okay.
Knowing that there's another
Yes.